Hi everybody, my name is Noelle and welcome back to my yoga channel. Today's practice or tutorial, we are going to do a vinyasa. And vinyasas are, if you want to gain strength in your practice, you work on your vinyasas. All right, and there are a couple no-nos to do in a vinyasa, so you definitely want to break the habit if you have these, and you don't want to start the habit either. So I'm just going to guide you through a couple steps on these vinyasas, and bear with me if we are huffing and puffing. Okay, all right, I will see you on your mat. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So first things first, you're coming from a down dog to a plank. So if you need to do that, feel free to. But when you get there, your palms are underneath your shoulders and your fingers are really spread, like down dog, like a high five. No, I don't think a high five, but you're showing like all 5 fingers and you're pressing your knuckles down. You're pressing your fingers down. And you're really gripping down. Your toes are doing the same thing and the balls of the feet are doing the same thing. You're gonna squeeze your glutes, squeeze your quads, and press your knees up towards the ceiling. Puff up the shoulder blades so you feel like you're rounding through the shoulder blades. As you begin to lower down, your chest is moving forward and your gaze starts moving outward. And you'll feel a sudden pressing back with your forearms. You'll feel that your elbows have just shifted and they'll start facing towards the front of the mat as you start really bending those elbows. And that's an indication that you are bringing your elbows back and making them in line with your rib cage. You are brushing your shoulders or your elbows on your rib cage, right? So that's something to do. Squeeze, gaze forward. As you gaze forward, watch your low rib cage. This part here, the front of the rib cage suddenly will drop. And then you've just lost all your strength because you're working on trying to lower down and carefully, right? So you're really, and if that's the case, I would say you come to your knees, right? And we'll get to that in a little bit. Okay, see, I'm already huffing and puffing. So you're gonna bend your elbows. My shoulders are still trying to puff up and my shoulder blades are moving down my back. My gaze is slightly forward and my legs are still super, super strong. And I'm bending my elbows to brush my rib cage. If you feel any pain in the front of your wrist, that's when your shoulders might be too over your wrists. All right. So we're going to come all the way down to the ground. I'm going to squeeze. I'm going to pull my rib cage in. I'm moving my elbows towards my rib cage. I'm brushing them down. I'll feel pressure on the palms. I continue to spread my fingers, push my hands down, and then I'll lower down. All right. That was enough, right? Okay, so that's how you want to do it in the very beginning. And that's a lot of strength with your biceps. A lot of strength with your forearms, pressing back, your palms pushing down into the ground at the same time, pulling length in the spine. You're pressing your chest forward, but really making sure your core is pulling in to keep that low rib, those low ribs in, right? So, and it is hard to talk this through while you're doing a lot of strength. So bear with me, I apologize. All right, so the next one is the no-no. So we kind of already touched base on that, and that's when you kind of collapse, start moving down. You definitely don't want to collapse, because in time, yoga does hurt your body if you're not watching how you're doing the alignment. All right, so palms, shoulders, make sure those shoulders stay in place, especially when you start bending the elbows. Now, if you come to a certain point and you'll feel your shoulders collapse, you come to the knees. If you feel right away that you'll need support right in the plank, you come to the knees. The biggest thing, the biggest thing is you don't rely on your knees. You don't think that you need to, I'm going to come to my knees so it's a modification. But it is still a lot of strength required. So if you feel like it's really too easy and you're doing it because it's easy, that's when you may need this video. All right? All right. So as I come down to my knees, puffing up everything, I'm keeping everything strong, I'm going to come to my knees. And if you can't even get to a plank, you come to your knees, but you're squeezing your glutes, you're pressing your shoulders down the back, and you're pulling the lowest ribs in. And you'll feel an automatic shift in your palms, pressing even heavier down, and then you're just going to start pulling length in the spine. Your feet never leave the mat. Maybe in other classes, like cardio classes, anything like that you have tennis shoes on, but in yoga, you're working length in the spine, and you're working your toes down just like your regular vinyasas. So your toes are pressing down, your balls of the feet are pressing down, and the reason why they're pressing down is because my heels have no support from the ground, and so the only support that they have is the balls of my feet and my toes, and they're making my heels press back strong. Right? So you really want to watch that. As you move down, you continue to press back. Just like your chaturanga push-ups or any push-ups, it's all in the core. It's always in the core. If you feel any weight come on your shoulders because you're moving forward and down, gravity is shifting. Watch that gravity. Continue to press it back with your leg strength, your core strength. So therefore, you can continue to easily do your shoulders, your arms, and it will increase your strength. Okay, so fingers spread, palms spread, shoulders in line with wrists, tucking my feet, and I'm making sure that those toes are in line with my hips. Knees, you're not like laying on the ball or the patellas, your kneecaps. You're not pressing down on them. You're slightly pressing them. You're not directly on them, I'm going to say. All right. So as you do this, continue to work strength in your forearms, pressing back, palms pressing back, toes pushing down. And then you'll feel your shoulders a lot easier to come down. So let's try one together. Even if you can do a high plank, to a low plank, it doesn't matter. Like if you know that you're wearing out in practice, you come to your knees and you continue working strength rather than doing something sloppy. All right, ready? Pull your belly in, rib cage in, squeeze your glutes, press your feet back, bend those elbows, brush the rib cage, right? And then come all the way down. Now, if you want to continue practicing that, that's a lot of strength. My body was shaking, and my breath is huffing and puffing just because I'm talking, but you really want to gain control of your breath and watch how you're exhaling because that's that slow, steady exhale. Now, if you notice you shorten that exhale and you're trying to breathe in on the next inhale or vice versa, and you're cutting things short, you work on your vinyasas, right? Breath is the most important thing in yoga because that's what will open your body. And you've got to pay attention to it. So slower is better in yoga. And I should say slower is faster in yoga, right? Breath will guide you. If you can breathe, then you know how to do yoga. All right, so now we're going to go to the transition to up dog. So however you'd like to get to your belly, you can practice one more time. I'm going to puff up my shoulder blades, squeeze my glutes, press my heels back, palms pressing down, fingers spread wide, knuckles pressing down, pull in those ribs. And then I'm going to start bending the elbows. As soon as I feel anything like go with my elbows out, shoulders towards my ears, that's when you come slightly to your knees, but still press, weight in those toes to keep the core working, to press gravity out of your shoulders. All right, that was a lot to say. Okay, so as you come down, maybe you come down halfway. There's a couple points I'm going to say here. So maybe you come down halfway, and then you do this with your feet. 1, 2, and then you press up. I'm going to say that's a no-no in yoga. You want to roll over your toes together just because your sacrum and your muscles are going to get used to this one habit, and it's going to make the spine lose that length. And it's a lot easier to flip over 1 foot at a time, but I would say you lose that habit. All right, so we're going to try that. So you're going to come to a plank. You're going to lower down. And then you're going to press both toes over at the same time. Okay, that's for the full up dog feel. Now, maybe I don't do that every practice. I may do that once or twice in a week of practice that I do because it's just you're working so many other things in yoga, and it's a lot of work just to do that. And so sometimes I'll just come down to the ground and do my transition there. Okay, so let's try that one more time. High plank, squeeze your glutes. Even if you come to your knees, just go ahead and flip those feet down and you roll over. All right. There you go. So you're in up dog, you're squeezing your glutes, you're pressing your feet down, you're working rib cage in, but at the same time, allowing the collarbones to open. All right, so next one, the last one. Okay, so we're gonna come tuck our toes. We're going to come to a high plank, and we're going to start our next one. So we've already come to the knees. Feel free to go to the knees. Bend those elbows, move those shoulder blades down. Keep the balls of the feet really pressing down. If you feel like you start coming on your toes, work those toes a little closer. So therefore you have the balls of the feet pressing down to gain that strength moving back. So the last one, there's 3 different bends. Back bending. You have Sphinx, which is forearms out in front of you. Always squeezing glutes, no matter what back bend you're doing. Press those feet down, even the pinky toes, and you're pulling length in the spine. You're not looking at how high you can go. You're looking at how strong your body separating and then lifting. So really work breath in the Sphinx. This position is super strong, just like your full up dog. It's the same thing. Shoulders are going to move down the back for the next one. Once again. And your body's still super strong. Glutes are strong, toes of the feet down. Your elbows are bending 90 degrees. Your palms are pressing down, same, again, fingers spread. This isn't a cobra. You do not straighten your hands, your arms. I see a lot of people doing this. And again, you don't want to do that because that's a no-no. That's a completely different back bend. If you want to do universal back bending, that's when you open the legs and you keep the feet down and you work more of a seal there. But that's not the cobra. The cobra is elbows are still bent and moving down your rib cage. You're pressing shoulder blades back and you're feeling this strength to move and separate your traps to your neck. You're opening right there. So make sure you have no wrinkles in the back as you begin to open the chest. So my elbows are still in line with my wrists and I'm gaining this strength. I'm trying to pull energy back, my gravity down towards my legs. So my legs are down and they're squeezing, so therefore I can allow myself to lift. Right? Rib cage is going to slowly start moving in to get more intense, more of a challenge. You don't have to do it right away. If you feel it right in the low back, you just continue working leg strength first. All right, so that definitely is that middle back bend before you get to the full up dog is a lot harder for me because you really have to work your strength rather the flexibility, right? So the flexibility, I can easily go right into a full up dog, no problem. I don't have to think about like anything, which sometimes I usually go right to the full up dog. But to really start opening this up dog in my mid back, which is where I usually have some complications, I'll have to come back to this modification here and begin, if you feel it's a modification or an easier back bend or the steps to get to that full up dog. But even here, I'm trying to pull length into my neck and move my shoulder blades down my back. At the same time, pull the ribs in. That's a lot of work right there. But if I continue doing that, my full up dog feels so much better. All right. So we are going to do one vinyasa. You're going to do it however you'd like. Just continue to work those bad habits out, like flipping the feet, shoulder blades coming together and dropping your head, dropping your chest. Okay, so we're going to work on those. And then pick your back bend. So toes of the feet, toes, balls of the feet, chest in, gaze forward. Coming slowly all the way down. And then inhale. So there's 3 breaths. Really give that time on that exhale to lower those elbows wherever you go, if you're in cobra, or straighten out the arms if you're in full up dog. Right? So there's 3 breaths. So every time you're inhaling and you're exhaling, that was a cheat. Did you see that? That's such a habit. I just did. There you go. I just picked up from cobra to down dog. Let's try that again. So you're in here. You can roll over your toes, or you can flip them. But eventually, that habit will have to change. And you roll over both toes at the same time. Or you just did that cheat like I did previously. You can just come from here and then that. But if you're gonna do that, you lower down, you tuck your toes, high plank, down dog. All right. Rolling over toes requires a lot of strength. Sometimes I'll have to like try to fly through it because my core is just not pulling in like I want it to. And that's mainly the reason it's not morning time. I have not had work yet, and nothing's really exhausted my body, especially food. And there's no food in my body, so my belly's able to pull in and I'm able to roll over my toes. During nighttime, my practice is just a little off. But that's okay, because it's a lot of fun to still just see where your body is. But try it out. I hope you enjoy this practice and or tutorial. If you have any questions, concerns, just let me know and we'll go from there. All right, well, thank you so much. I will see you next practice.